Just sitting here having a couple of drinks after a really long day, and I figured it would be fun to touch on one of my more favorite comic book concepts of just like lately, and how much I just love Rogue as an Avenger. I think that it has been a long time coming. I think that she has worked her way up. I mean, from somebody who was originally a X-Men villain and an Avengers level villain. She's fought her way through her own backstories with Mystique. She's fought her way through Ms. Marvel, who would eventually, of course, become Captain Marvel. She's made her enemies. She's made her mistakes. But, she's really, really come a long way. Even if you talk about how she's mastered her powers, if you talk about how she can touch people now, how she can control, whether or not she absorbs, a power. I recently came across, a quote from Captain America that had said that he would gladly welcome her onto any Avengers team, or that even if that she would be a worthwhile addition to any team just because of her experience set. And I think that it's important to mention this because a lot of heroes do get boxed into their settings. They get boxed in because that's what the fans expect. Nobody really expected Rogue being an Avenger, even though she made better use of Captain Marvel's powers for years when Captain Marvel was out of the picture and in a coma, even though it was her fault. Get that correct. But I digress. The issue is that, Rogue was one of the most popular characters in the X-Men series in the 90s. And that kind of credibility, that kind of star power, that really shows that she'd been, she's an A-list character. And I really do think that it's due time for her to get her shine, and I like that. I think that she's written pretty well the whole Mpox situation aside in the Avengers Unity Squad. I loved her little challenging attitude towards the Scarlet Witch, when they were both on that team for a little bit. And I kind of liked that because I saw that where she was coming from. I thought that was a really good way for them to kind of show that like Rogue is really an X-Men. She's really a mutant at heart. Scarlet Witch is kind of a whole lot of things that we don't really need to get into because it changes basically with whatever's going on. Now, I love that she has Wonder Man's powers because if you really think about it on like just a base level, Wonder Man is as powerful strength-wise as Thor. So in theory, Rogue can do everything strength-wise that Thor can do. And she's no stranger to having that kind of strength level. She's no stranger at flying in and handling things. We're talking about somebody who's lived with Wolverine for years, has touched Wolverine, absorbed his memories, has touched Carol Danvers, has her combat experience, and then we could go on and on and on and on and on about talking about people who Rogue has, absorbed the memories of and can, fight and do all this. She has loads of experience, and like I said, I just think it is her time. Now, with that said, I think it's time we talk about her costume. I think that it could use a little bit of work because I think that the colors of her powers, obviously Wonder Man has purple powers, and I think her green costume, while iconic, I think it clashes a little bit. I think they should get back to some of the extreme X-Men, base, because it would just flow more, and I think it would make things pop, and nobody on that friggin' team matches anyway. Now, let's not even get into it. Now, as far as how she fits into the team, at Rogue's heart, she is nothing more than a small town girl who copes with these extreme circumstances because she's thrown into them only because she was just born that way. Now, with that established, she's on the team with the most iconic soldier of all time. She's with Cable, who she's has plenty of experience with from being an X-Men. His best friend Deadpool, I mean, who is a psychopath. And then we have Pietro, Quicksilver. We have the Human Torch. We have all these other people, Brother Voodoo, that she just kind of has to make the best out of it. And like I said, at her root, she's just a small town girl who's basically been thrown into these extreme circumstances where she's had to, do the best she can to save the most amount of people. And I just love how it kind of plays out on, an entire, Marvel wide kind of spectrum. I guess if there's anything that I would really love to see more from Rogue's character, and this is more of like a fanboy kind of situation, I would love to see Rogue and Captain Marvel on the same team. And I think like it would be really, really interesting to see how they could get along and how they could make the best of it. Because I mean, well, no matter how you dice it, there's no way that there's no beef or there's no shade or there's no animosity between them. I mean, Rogue severely impacted Captain Marvel's life, and I think that it would be really, really, really interesting to see how if they could make things work, if they could handle, if they could be professional on on a scale like that, and how would the other team members have to break them up? I mean, who even is strong enough to break up a fist fight, from between those two? So I would really, really, really love to see a team like of Avengers where those two would have to square off their differences, and make the best out of like a shit situation. And I think that probably really could happen in the future. I mean, we never know what Marvel's going to do because they switch it on us constantly. But this was just kind of a fun idea that I had for a video, and I'm glad to share it with you guys. Hope you enjoy. Take care. Drink up.